Yeah, it's us. I think we're on. We're live. We're recording. Are you doing your ASMR can opener?
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh, you can hear the fizz.
There you go.
I should get you a pair of headphones so you can monitor this audio box. It's actually quite really nice. How are you? You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine and dandy.
It's pretty cool, right? We're recording literally the day after we recorded the last episode. I don't think we've ever been this proactive, and it was your suggestion, so
Were you shocked?
I was very shocked. Yeah, I'm just at a loss for words. I mean, I had fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of fun.
I think it was just those elves got me going.
It was fun, wasn't it? It was. I enjoyed recording the Teleri episodes. It was fun. Teleri Part 1 was good, but for some reason Teleri Part 2 just... It's a lot of fun to record, yeah, it was good. So we're having... today, like I said, today's going to be a little bit of an easier episode. What are we doing? We're just having a couple of drinks. I've got... So in our garage, right, over the last 5 years we've lived in this house, we've just...
Accumulated,
we've just accumulated alcohol because we don't drink a great deal.
We used to have a lot of get-togethers.
We did, like, before we
drank a lot.
Yeah, before
with our neighbours.
Yeah, before we had the baby, like, we used to see the neighbours quite a lot, like, and then COVID happened.
Parties.
So yeah, we'd have a couple of parties.
Not COVID parties.
No, and then during COVID,
not
like
Boris's.
During COVID, it happened like in the garden a lot more. And before we had our daughter, we used to have our hot tub out all the time.
Yeah.
And I think next summer I might get it back out.
Drinking in the hot tub was really
really
nice.
It was good with the neighbour. I was talking about that with one of the neighbours where we drank 2 bottles of rum in the hot tub. Do you remember? And it was snowing.
That was rum from La Palma as well, wasn't it?
It fucking was.
That was just like drinking.
Beautiful.
It was just beautiful. Drinking pop.
I was still in my mid-20s, but it felt like being a carefree teenager.
Yeah,
like
that feels like a very distant memory now.
It does. It's like my life's much better in very different ways.
Much more love in the life. But,
so much more. Yeah, it's good.
Less sort of time to relax.
Aye, yeah, but the point being, our garage has just got... We've got a whole drinks cabinet that I think, was it your grandma's when she died?
No,
or was
it was
your
Grand June's.
Oh, right, okay, it was Grand June. And we got a whole drinks cabinet off her. It's just chock full of spirits. But I bought some shelves years ago for the garage to kind of like try and sort everything. And one of the shelves is just full with an odd assortment of beers and ciders. So Becca's got Strongbow, which isn't a dark fruit. You know, like it's a nice, it's a very nice for the Americans and what have you. It's whatever white trash drinks. It's that.
Excuse me.
Fuck it is. Is it Four Loko? Is that what Americans drink?
I don't have a clue, but this is...
They're white trash.
You're
drinking cider.
It's Strongbow and it's dark fruits, and they have them on on draft.
Right, quick question. Truthfully, right now it's 7:43 p.m. Okay, right?
Yeah.
And it's the school holidays for most of Britain.
Yeah.
Can you look me straight in the eye and tell me there's not a kid drinking there on the field right now? Somewhere in this country. Exactly. White trash.
Shut your face.
Is there a teenager drinking Boondoggle? The beer I'm drinking? A deliciously fruity craft blonde ale? Not sponsored. I don't think so.
Well, I was just saying before.
I think it's because I'm the only person who's ever fucking drank it.
Had Rosie Nosy before, and that was a Christmas. It was a Santa beer.
I thought I had another one. No, I've got Santa Christmas beers.
Yeah, so there was 2, and they were actually Christmas presents for someone, and I can't really give them to them now. But yeah, perfect drink for you because you're allergic to something within beer.
If I have a proper beer. Or like an innocent gun lager for some reason, I don't know why, but it's a very popular like beers in Scotland. If I have innocent gun, it just like I saw on Saturday when I was out with some pals in Edinburgh, I had like a red marker on my face. Like, it looked like Mike Tyson's tattoo.
Yeah, you do. You get like almost like goggles.
Yeah, it's so weird. I have no idea what the fuck that's about.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we're just
drinking through the garage supply really. So we're not on the hard stuff yet.
Yeah.
We may have to have some sort of form of house party to get everyone to drink through the hard liquor.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to designate one person to not come so they can look after all the kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, how come you wanted to record today? What's all that about?
Well, I just enjoyed yesterday so much. And I mean, it's
that
just
boondoggle.
good to get some time together, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Sounds a bit cringe, but
it's not cringe. We need to be open about this. Everyone seems to think that it's like the first year after you have a baby where like you don't have much time for each other. We did fine in the first year.
Yeah.
We did all right. Like obviously apart from your postnatal depression, but apart from that, which we're still dealing with, it's been like the second year that's been the last 6 months have been so difficult. Because we just had no time for each other because all your energy goes into being parents.
Yeah, and I think we just put all our love into her, and then you don't, like, I don't know whether this is just a woman thing, but because I've been flavour of the month now since like January.
You have, yeah.
The dog has got his head on my knee.
Yeah.
She's clambering on me all the time, and then by bedtime I'm just like, don't touch me. Like, I don't want to be touched. I feel gross. Because, you know, your child's beautifully dressed and, you know, bathed every day, but then you just feel like a scruff. So, yeah, it's just... Yeah,
it's just, oh, God. So
where's the time?
Yeah, we have this 1 hour a week pretty much talking about Middle-earth. Is our time where we're not talking about being parents or jobs.
Or sleeping.
Or sleeping, yeah, but we're still talking about it, so we can't escape it. But no, yeah. So today we're going to talk about the Beornings. It's half like kind of like off the cuff because Becca's seen the film, so we'll talk a bit about that. We'll talk about that cringy meme about that cunt who called themselves a Tolkien scholar, which I told you about.
Yeah.
But
what do you call you?
Just a nerd.
Tolkien admirer.
Just a nerd. The thing is, right, it's like nicknames. If you try and give yourself one, it's cringe. It's pure cringe. It's like that Frankie Boyle joke where it's like, hey guys, you can call me Eagle.
You're an enthusiast.
Well, it's like, hey guys, you can call me Eagle. And Frankie Boyle's like, no, we'll be calling you Cunty Chops.
Yeah.
It's just like, so if you call yourself a scholar or anything like that, I just think it's pure cringe. If other people want to label you that, like, it's just like, oh yeah, there's a couple of scholars, like, blah, 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 like, all right, fair dues. Like, there's a couple of people I interact with who I might class as scholars, but it'd still be pretty cringy to call them that to their face. It's such a weird thing. I don't know whether that's the British in me.
I think it's funny how, like, when I say to people, oh yeah, we have a Tolkien podcast. Like, if I say we have one, they're like, oh yeah, like, it's not weird because they know that we do these kind of things and you're a big nerd. But it has surprised a couple of people when I've said, like, oh, I record one with Chris, and people are like, oh, because it just kind of catches them left field because they're just so used to me talking about the child or just general crap of life that it takes them by surprise.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't have genuine hobbies or interests outside of their immediate just life, like outside of their phone, outside of their social media. Like, there's a lot of people whose entire existence revolves around just memes.
Also, on the same vein, a lot of people never, like, look very closely at themselves. I've felt that since I've kind of, well, had my PTSD thing as well, I feel like I've learnt a lot and I'm very self-aware, but then that meant that I'm more aware of other people and how they kind of are so early in learning about themselves, and they might be really super old people. I work with a lot of older people.
It's like I've said this to you for years. Like a lot of people lack genuine introspection because it means admitting your own flaws. Like
I'm very flawed.
I am very well aware of my own flaws. Like there's never been a time we've been arguing and you've pointed out a flaw, and if it's a genuine flaw, like it's genuinely true. Like there's never been a time where I've been like, no. It's like, yeah, okay, all right, I'll take that on board. Let's see what I can do with it.
Can you imagine Gandalf picking out a flaw?
Yes. Gandalf.
Really?
Yeah, Gandalf is... The reason why Gandalf was successful in his mission is because he remained humble to the end, right? You might not like Ian McKellen's portrayal of Gandalf, right? No, in a similar vein, you might not like...
It's not his portrayal, it's the writing.
Well, it might... whatever it is, but as someone who hasn't read the literature, right, it's just... You have a... You don't have the full picture, but Gandalf... You might not like it, the way he was portrayed in the films, but he was successful at his mission because he stayed humble and he stayed true, and he was aware that he couldn't do everything. That's why he worked so hard to motivate the people to help themselves. And that was the whole point of the Astari.
Who do you think out of like the collection of characters that aren't orcs or like the bad guys, who do you think has the least amount of introspection?
Ooh, so least self-aware.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. My heart, off the top of my head, I want to say elves. I want to say it's one of the elves. Because they're just... like,
I feel like they have so much time that you kind of wouldn't feel like there was any importance to learning about yourself.
Well, no, I was going to go the opposite way. I'd say that I want to say the elves, but I think because they'd have so much time, they wouldn't think... There would come a point where... Like, if you imagine their teenage angst would last for centuries. So I think they would have to become very introspective. And plus their whole being is their fear. Their spirit is very strong. So... Oh, I hate to do this to my boys. It's probably a dwarf, you know.
I think they're very passionate.
Probably a dwarf. Because they're so wrapped up in tradition and their pride.
Manly men.
Well, they're not men, but like it's their pride. It's like they're so wrapped in up in their ambition and their pride. The obvious example would probably be Saruman. But you said, like, you know, I don't know whether you meant it explicitly, but I think you were eking towards, like, no villains.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saruman would be the one, because the closest he comes to redemption, he still fucks it up. So, you know, he could have been redeemed at Orthanc, but he didn't. But no, I think it'd probably be a dwarf, you know. I think, and I'll tell you for why, Stace. I'll tell you for why.
Oh my Christ.
Oh my Christ. My niece went to Greece.
And
No.
all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
Right, I'll tell you for why. Thorin, when he dies, apologises to Bilbo, right? Oh, and shout out to the Fellowship of Readers. We're doing a read-along of The Hobbit
on Sunday.
The 10th of September. And I'm playing Gandalf and the narrator in the scene where Thorin dies, which is going to be pretty lovely.
Epic, yeah.
It's going to be nice. But
it's even in the calendar. I saw it.
Yeah, I put it in here. My point being, Thorin makes amends at the end of his life, and he has to go on a whole personal journey where he suffers from dragon sickness, and then on his deathbed he realises how much he messed up, and so he apologises to Bilbo and he says, like, I'd have your friendship before the end. And because of that, and the fact that dwarves are made to endure, and that Gimli says a dwarf, I think he says, like, a dwarf will break but they'll never bend. I think the ones that lack the introspection the most would be the dwarves. So to choose from a character, probably not Gimli, but I'd say Dane Ironfoot would probably be the one who lacked introspection the most. That's a very difficult question because they're all very well written characters and they all have depth to them, and I dare say a lot of them have more depth than real life people. A lot of real life people. That sounds like something a serial killer would say. Yeah, what about you? What would where would you go with that? Who lacks who's the least self-aware character?
I'm gonna say. Oh, it's a tricky one. I'm gonna say Frodo.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. This should be good.
because one, I don't like him.
Yep, that's why. So Edinburgh Comic Con's on the 7th and 8th of October this year. Andy Serkis and Elijah Wood are going to be there, and I want to get a dual ticket to get pictures with them both, and it was 180 quid. And I thought, you know what? I'll just see if one of them, and if it's going to be one of them, it's going to have to be Andy Serkis, because I thought like Becca probably wouldn't want to get a picture with Elijah Wood, because
Andy Serkis, right? 13 going on 30. Such a good film.
is he in that?
He was definitely in that. Surely that was Andy Serkis.
Are you thinking of Mark Ruffalo?
No. He was definitely in it because he's like a weird sort of crush. He's a bit.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right, Andy Serkis.
He must
You don't have
be.
to. You don't have to do it. I've got my phone. Andy Serkis, 13 going on 30.
It was him, wasn't it?
Does he do a dance? Maybe.
Yes, he does. He does the Thriller dance.
Oh shit! Oh, he's got a goatee.
Yes, he's a very camp guy in 13 going on 30.
All right. Not fair dues, yeah. Andy Serkis is just so prolific, and because he's narrated the audiobooks,
Yeah,
I've heard his
he's-
voice so much.
Me too, and so has our child. I think our child has slept through a lot of Andy Serkis's voice.
Yes, she's been in the car while I've had this
Anyway.
song early on.
That could be a good date weekend, couldn't it?
What, Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could, yeah. It'd be like, if you wanted an autograph or a picture as well, it'd be like, so it'd be 180 quid for both of us, or
I'm not too bothered about an autograph.
360 quid for both of them,
Ooh.
both of us.
Jeez.
Yeah,
It's a cost of living crisis.
we'd have to stay at Ewan's house on his sofa.
No, we don't need an autograph in that though, do we?
I'd like to get a picture.
You can get a picture.
All right, sick, 90 quid then. I don't know how much tickets are normally, but it would be a good, because there's other people there. There's like Matt Smith and Jared Padalecki.
And what's he called?
Where's Ulgummidge?
No, what's he called? I said his name downstairs. Oh,
Fuck
Vampire Diaries.
Oh, no, you're barking up the wrong fucking tree. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Well, why not? Oh, what's he
I've
called?
never watched it.
There's I know that Stefan. What's he called? And his brother, but they're not really brothers. Anyway,
Yeah, anyway, we probably don't need to.
Paul Wesley and Ian Somerhalder.
Are they brothers? Do they
No,
have
not in
different
real
man-
life,
Oh, right.
but
I was
in the
gonna
Vampire
say.
Diaries they
Right,
are.
fair enough.
Anyway, so yeah, date night. Anyway, I think Frodo because all that time that he's had kind of playing and just chilling about, very carefree, you wouldn't need to be looking in on yourself, would you? Because you'd be just, he loves the world around him, he's very innocent, he's childlike. When you're a child, you don't look in on yourself. You're very outward, aren't you? You're kind of like, oh, I don't fit in because of this. Or you're very, I think when you're a child or when you're younger, it's more about your outward appearance.
He loves both his parents, and that's why he lives with Bilbo. He's an orphan.
Right, and he's still got his carefree, childish nature. But
Well, he's a hobbit.
then when he carries the ring for so long, he hasn't got time.
I dare say after the
He's
war.
in agony.
I dare say after the War of the Ring, all he has is time, and that is why he has to go to Tol Eressëa, as he cannot survive with the horrors of what he's witnessed and the pain it causes him.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's looking at his character.
I think the suffering alone is enough to allow some introspection, because he has to live knowing that even though he is the only person who could have got it that far, he still has to live and knowing that he failed right at the end and that he claimed the ring for himself. Now that would be torture to live with, knowing that you failed at the end of the quest. And I think it would only be in Tol Eressëa where he'd genuinely be able to heal, when one of the Valar or the Maiar would be able to come to him directly and say, look, you were the only person who could go that far.
Let's just highlight as well, this is my answer from watching the films.
It is, yeah, and that's why I'm keeping my anger in check.
And, well, I can tell you look like you've got bloody steam coming out of your ears.
It's just...
Oh my God, I could cheat on you and you wouldn't look that angry. So...
I'm reminding myself that we've only covered the Silmarillion thus far. You've had no exposure to the books.
Well, there would be him or another person I thought was Aragorn. Now, I know that's quite controversial.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's so trapped in his kind of his image.
What everyone else expects him to be, or what his destiny is.
Yeah, and what is in the future that he never has opportunity to look at himself in the present. And
I could kind of see that, yeah.
I think if you're always looking, he's on the hedonic treadmill. He's always looking for the next thing. What do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? I want this. The people need this. And I think if you're that type of person, you never have the time to look at what you actually have, because when does he really rest?
Is it like, did your driving instructor, when you were learning to drive, ever say to you, if you doubt yourself, you'll crash? Did they ever say anything like that to you? Like my driving instructor used to say, like, the day you hesitate and start to doubt yourself is the day you'll crash.
Yeah, like, I don't know what the term was. Is it like all who hesitate are lost? Those who hesitate are lost. It's like when you're coming up to a junction and you see that there's a car coming, when you're coming up to a roundabout and there's a car on the other side and they're slowly coming up, but you think, ooh, I can't, I'm not sure on the speed. Sometimes you stop and then you think, oh, they're going so slow and it feels so inconvenient. You could have probably just gone. Just go with it.
Yeah, there was an idiom that says, one who hesitates is lost, and that is from a line in a Joseph Addison's play called Cato, a Tragedy, from 1712. Which is where that one comes from.
Well, my mother taught me that, and
fair enough. But yeah, I can understand that Aragorn, perhaps not by character, but by events, may not have time for introspection because he's always working towards something.
Yeah.
Because he
hedonic treadmill.
Well, yeah. I mean, hedonic in the sense of hedonism, because it's more of like duty and fate that's driving him, isn't it?
I don't think always. In terms of his character in the film.
Yeah, I think he's bound up in his destiny. Of course, you are free. Like, you would be free to say no, thank you, but maybe he's on the hedonic treadmill in the sense that he wants that. He wants to be the.
Surely
the king
he wants it.
of
You wouldn't
Gondor
go
now.
all that far.
Well, no, he wants it. Yeah, we see him in Lord of the Rings. Obviously, he wants it in Lord of the Rings. Alright, but yeah, good little detour. Weird one. Should we talk a bit about Beorn?
Mhm.
What do you remember of Beorn from the films?
What does he look like?
Are you fucking shitting me?
Is he the?
You fucking shitting me? You've seen the Hobbit films more than any other films, and you can't tell me who Beorn is.
Is he the very handsome one? Is he the sexy handsome one?
I don't know. That could be any of them.
No, it could not.
It could.
No.
How many times have you seen these fucking films?
Right.
Oh my god.
I've had a couple of drinks, so Christopher.
The guy who turns into a fucking bear, Rebecca.
Oh yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah, he's gorgeous.
Well, yeah, he is. But still, his eyebrows are a bit fucked up, but, so is Gandalf's. What do you remember? Okay, right, off to a rocky start here. What do you remember about Beorn from the films?
Right, he is very hairy and he's very tall. He's a bit werewolfish and he is ripped. That body.
Yeah,
those big hands.
Yeah, oh, there we go, big hands again. Yeah.
Those vascular arms.
Are you looking at a picture and just describing it to me?
Oh,
right,
no.
Put your phone down and tell me what you remember.
I'm not. He's just a pure representation of strength, and he they kind of go running through the fields to like run away and hide and find somewhere safe, and they kind of do a seven dwarves, and they're like Snow White, and they kind of go in his house.
Oh yeah.
And then seven dwarves, Beorn turns up, and he's like, "Rah!" Yeah, I loved his character. He barely said anything, but it just, the fact he protects him and like gives him that time.
It's a bit of an odd one, isn't he? Because he's like an unwilling host, but he loves a good story.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, like go you.
Yeah.
He was a good distraction.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the distraction.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. For goodness sake. He's famed for his honey cakes. Beorn makes beautiful honey cakes.
I bet he does.
Which brings me to mind, we've talked about it in the podcast before.
He's my little honey cake.
Oh, yeah. Drizzle his honey stick on you.
Yeah, he
but
can.
As a bear, it'd be his little red lipstick. So he's famed for his honey cakes, which means that he keeps bees for honey. Which makes me think of that terrible, terrible meme, that cursed meme of that bastard who posted on Tumblr or something saying, I'm a Tolkien scholar and we went to it. Do you know what? I'm going to find it. It pisses me off so much. I'm going to find it. It's so fucking annoying. We have talked about it before. Tolkien scholar meme bees. Oh, lovely. 6 hour long fight at this year's Tolkien Historical Society conference about whether Middle Earth had bees. Before I reminded everyone that the Rohirrim had mead halls, which means that they had honey, which means there's bees. Everyone sighed and the conference continued. This is the life of a Tolkien scholar.
No, it's just you raised a point.
So fucking cringe. I've said this before, and anyone who is, not anyone who is a fan, because being a fan's a huge. There's massive amount of
I'm a fan, and I don't know that much.
Anyone who knows more than the surface level, anyone who has more than surface level knowledge of Middle Earth would know that anyone who calls themselves a Tolkien scholar is pretty cringe anyway, but. You'd have Beorn to point to. There's multiple, like Middle Earth is old, like it's old England. Of course, it'd have bees. Like it's one of those things that's made up to try and impress people who aren't a fan of the thing, to make it look like you know more about it than you do, and it pisses off people who know a lot or they know more about. So like actual researchers or actual
people who spend a lot of hours.
Yeah. And it's a meme that gets under my skin for all the wrong reasons. Like there's so many memes out there that are far more offensive, but someone
was this an American?
Probably.
Oh,
probably.
I was going to say it would be great if they were at the Comic-Con, wouldn't it? And you just stumbled upon him and he was in his bee suit.
There's a film called Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and at the end of the film, they get loads of money from selling from their owed rights to their likenesses that were used in films, and they weren't aware of it. And they use the money to fly all around America, and they have a big list of people who were making fun of them on the internet, and they spend the money to track them down. They go to the house and beat the shit out of like every single one of them. And it's like, are you ass liquor 420? And it's like, yeah. And then he's like, all right, and then just fucking start punching him. Just. Yeah, so if I was ever going to John Wick something, it'd be the creator of that fucking post. Oof. I don't know, I'm getting pretty passionate about it, but it's just, I can't quite articulate myself. I should really leave it to some of the other Tolkien creators. Like, there's a fantastic Tolkien creator called Max Likes Planes or something, and basically he's an aircraft engineer, and he starts every video with talking about a part of an airplane, and then segues into... the video is about Lord of the Rings, and he does it in this deadpan. That
sounds really hot.
He does it in this deadpan way, and it's fucking mint. But I can't articulate myself well enough that people who genuinely research things about Middle Earth or like try and bring information to people, I don't try and impress anyone with my knowledge. I try and share it so that we can all much more fully understand it and appreciate Tolkien's works. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
anyway, let's stop talking about it. There's bees in Middle Earth is the short answer to
And
that.
Beorn is a beekeeper.
He's a beekeeper.
And he makes those sweet, sweet honey cakes.
Oh yes, you're his honey cake. But to be honest, more than that, he's fairly mysterious. Like, it's never really said why he's a skin changer, like why he can turn. You'd think there'd be an answer, but why can he turn into a bear? Don't really one there. But do you remember much of his part in The Hobbit? So that they end up at his house, and then what?
He snores? I don't know. I can't remember.
No, he shelters them for a while. They have to introduce the dwarfs like one by one and two by two, hurrah, hurrah, until they finish the story, and then they stay at his house for a bit, and then when they're ready to go, he gives them he lends them some ponies to get to Mirkwood.
Oh yeah, I remember the ponies.
And then later on at the Battle of Five Armies, he turns up in his bear form, and him and the eagles turn the tide of the battle. And in the books, he kills the orc chief Bolg, who I think Bolg is the son of Azog. So this is a difference between the movies and the books.
Azog the Defiler.
Yeah, so in the movies it's Azog the Defiler who leads the orc armies, but in the books that's not true. So Azog is the one who kills Thorin's father or grandfather, and that results in the battle outside of the gates of Moria, in the war between the orcs and the dwarves. And Azog has a son called Bolg, and that's who's the leader of the orcs at the Battle of Five Armies. So I don't know why they didn't keep that in the movies. That would have been fine. Like, would have been just as good. But Beorn, he dies sometimes before Lord of the Rings. So in between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, he rules over the Northmen who live in that area. So they all live in between the Misty Mountains and Mirkwood, either side of the River Anduin. That's where Beorn's people live. And so Beornings is the name of Beorn's people, but not all of them were skin changers. I think maybe the most likely is that Beorn's direct descendants were able to turn into bears, or like werebears or animals or whatever. But after the Battle of Five Armies, because the orcs had been decimated, what people who were called the Northmen, they rallied around Beorn as their chief. They were like, oh my god, this guy's fucking amazing.
He's hench.
Yeah, exactly. So he became their chief for a long time. So he ruled this big swath of land, and then his son took over. And so just a little bit about the people is that they are humans, just like, but they're probably an offshoot like the hobbits. So like these are the skin changes I'm talking about, by the way. That they are offshoots of humans, just like hobbits are, but they still are humans. That they are the Atani or the Edain, depending on which language you're using. And they were mostly descendants of the House of Hador. And the other notable people who descended from the House of Hador were the Eotheod, who became the Rohirrim. So Beornin and do you remember if we mentioned it in a few episodes ago that the Rohirrim, they started life in the north of Middle Earth around Mirkwood, and then there was a battle at Calenarthon.
It all links.
Yeah, there was a battle at Calenarthon, which became Rohan, but Eol the Young went down and helped, and then as a result they were gifted it. Do you remember all that? Mm-hmm. So that's who they're related to, and they weren't all good people. Some of them were described as bad. So it's just the same as any other
race.
Except the elves, with the exception of Feanor. Fuck Feanor. There's your weekly reminder. Well, actually no. There's I think he's Eol. He's called. He's an evil elf.
Are you not talking about Eeyore?
Eeyore is an evil donkey. He uses depression as a weapon. But no, I think it's Eol who's an elf who's quite evil, and he tries to kill his son. He's an all round bastard. to be honest. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Aye, but yeah, so they're related to the Rohirrim, and not all of them were good, but some of them were bad. But during the time after the Hobbit and then into the Fourth Age, they maintained their land, and what they did was they charged very high tolls for dwarves and elves and men to help them pass over the Carracks, like over the river and stuff like that. And when Glowin, Gimli's dad, gets to Rivendell in Lord of the Rings, he talks about it, and like he says that the roads are easy to pass now, but for how long? Because the people of Beorn maintain the passes. So we know where they live, we know what they're up to. And another notable event is that when Aragorn captures Gollum just before Lord of the Rings, because that's why Legolas is at Rivendell's, to tell everyone that Gollum's escaped,
Yeah.
they helped Aragorn cross the river. And at the end of the War of the Ring, right at the end of Lord of the Rings, they're given more land by Thranduil to live in, and it's like just more land in and around Mirkwood. And a nice little fact is that Mirkwood, after the events of Lord of the Rings, becomes renamed as Erin Lasgarlen, which means the wood of green leaves.
It doesn't really have the same ring though, does it?
Yeah, Mirkwood is pretty... It used to be called Greenwood the Great, but then it becomes the wood of green leaves.
You know those little creatures when we used to play WoW? And little green, like frog-like creatures, were they called like...
Oh, they weren't kobolds.
No,
there were some of that, but they make
like
the noise like...
Murloc.
Murloc, yeah.
Whenever you say Mirkwood, I always think that Murlocs live there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love that. That's some headcanon.
They're an easy kill.
So my headcanon now is in the streams and near the River of Anduin where it came close to the Mirkwood. Like you'd be walking along on a night and all you'd hear is...
Just for some bizarre reason, I don't know whether it's the M in it.
Aye.
Mirkwood, Murlocs live in Mirkwood. It just always triggers memories of killing those little things.
That was fun. I was thinking about World of Warcraft actually the other day.
Me too. I was thinking how much time that I wasted, but it was just wasn't a waste.
Not time wasted, yeah.
It was a nice relax.
It was.
All that mining and
I keep wanting to get back into Lord of the Rings Online, but they've got an engine, like a graphical update coming, and I think it's in October. So I'm going to wait until then. And I've got Baldur's Gate to keep me busy, which has been amazing. Right. But yes, so after the end of during the Fourth Age and beyond, they were given more lands to live in, which was pretty cool. Like, and they defended like Thranduil's realm from threat, so it was like a mutually beneficial relationship, right? Now, do you want to... This made me giggle when I was in the bath writing the notes or looking up like some of the information for this, right? Beorn, when he dies, his son takes over. And do you know what his son's called?
Theon.
Grim Beorn. And it just made me laugh.
Is he just a dirtier version of his dad?
It just made me laugh because it was like, I'm Chris and this is my son.
Grim Chris.
Serious Chris. Fucking hell, like, he has an imagination barrier naming his son.
Not really, because there's still people today who name their sons after themselves. So, yeah. There you go. They don't put Grim in front of it.
Yeah, true. I mean, Eminem's called Marshall Mathers III. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Don't use your teeth.
I'm Grim.
Oh, Grim Chris.
I'm Grim Chris. What am I drinking now? This is...
I'm Tipsy Rebecca.
Oh, it's more Boondoggle. Lovely. 2 bottles of Boondoggle and then one called, like... What's that last one called? Bracken Spear?
No, Spear.
Brack Spear, aye.
Oxford Gold.
So, we're going to get into some... Right. So, do you remember how excited I was when I started doing the episode for the dragons and I looked up the names and I just started like getting my mind blown left, right and centre and nearly blew my bollocks off? Well...
What do you mean, nearly?
Well. I found out some things tonight that I will teach our daughter and we're at a party on Saturday. I'm going to tell everybody at that fucking party.
No, I'm glad you're not drinking.
One by one, I'm going to get people in a corner and I'm going to tell them this. So there's two inspirations for Beorn. So we're talking about Beorn himself, right? There's two inspirations I could find for where the character might have come from for Tolkien. And the first one was Beowulf, and probably the most likely, given how much like Tolkien was like a scholar. He was a scholar on Beowulf. He was an actual fucking scholar. He wasn't making up facts about bees. But apparently Beowulf's name means bee wolf, which then extends to honey eater.
Yeah.
Which then extends to bear.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh. Another inspiration was perhaps the Norse saga of Hrolfir Kraki, in which a man was cursed to transform into a bear in it. So that might have been two possible inspirations, but we're going to get the language now, right? And I had to do some proper... Wait, no. This is some mad shit, because this is all real world stuff. This isn't made up languages. Well, not all languages are made up. So Beorn is an Old English word, right? That originally meant bear.
Yeah.
But in a heroic sense, it could mean man. It could also mean hero. It could mean man of valor or poetic man in Old English. But it's a cognate to the Old Norse of Beorn. So half for Bjornsson, the son of a bear in Scandinavian-speaking countries. And that's been used since the 11th century, right? And that's where Tolkien that's the ones I lifted from Tolkien Gateway, right?
Yeah.
I just went on there, I had a look, I was like, that's fucking mint. But then I saw the section that said, in earlier versions of Tolkien, Beorn was called Medwed. And I was like, okay. Which is extremely closely related to a word medved, which is the Slavic term for bear and literally means honey eater, right? But this is just the start of the rabbit hole, because the article, and I don't think they knew why they'd written this because they copied it from the source, but it said, it was a taboo version of bear. So naturally I was like, what's taboo about bear? And so for a while I was thinking, is the term for like a hairy big gay man, like, has that been around for hundreds of years? Because like I'm straight, right? So I was like, I don't know.
Are you sure?
I was like, I don't know gay history. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know much gay history. So I was like, maybe the
whole of history's gay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, maybe I know a bit about the Greeks, but I was like, maybe the term for bear has just been around for ages. So maybe it's like a slang term for bear. So maybe Tolkien was just doing it like that, and I thought, gay bears, right? Nah. It is much deeper and is much more primal, right? So it turns out, so we call the bear a bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bear's real name, you know. And this is right. I know you're giving me this look. I want everybody to listen carefully to this bit, right? It turns out that the name that we use, bear, was created out of fear. And there is something that's permeated throughout human history called a minced oath, or a taboo defamation, in which an object causes so much fear, we don't use the name itself. We create words around it, right?
The one who shall not be named.
You don't fuck this up with a Harry Potter reference, right? Let me get back to my story. So it turns out the name of bear was created out of fear, and Tolkien was a philologist, right? He fucking definitely knew this. So I searched for ages. I was looking for ages as to why medved was considered like such a taboo word. So I was thinking it in the sense of how I'd consider taboo. I was like, it's like calling someone a cunt, right? I was like, why would that be such a bad word to say? And then I found a little piece by a guy called Dan Nosovitz in an article for the Atlas Obscura, where he starts saying, there's an article called The Long Linguistic Journey to Dag Nabbit, where he starts by saying, the piece of pseudo-profanity is what's known as a taboo defamation, a word we say when we don't want to say the word. So we created the word bear to avoid its real name, because there was like in the places where bears were eating people, the language of spoken was like Proto-Indian, Proto-Indian, European, or something like that. And because of that, our word for bear literally means like honey eater. Medved means like literally honey eater. And our word for bear used to be an affirmation, or an affectation, of... it literally means like the brown one. So I'll read a quote from it, right? The excerpt says, "Bear is not the true name of the bear. That name, which I am free to use because the only bear near where I live is the American black bear, is Chraktos, or at least it was in Proto-Indian European, the hypothesized base language for languages including English, French, Hindi, and Russian. The bear, along with the wolf, was the scariest and most dangerous animal in the northern areas where Proto-Indian European was spoken." And he says, because bears were so bad, you didn't want to talk about them directly, so you referred to them in an oblique way. And Chrektos, which is pronounced with a lot of guttural noises, became the basis for a bunch of other words, such as Arctic, which probably means something like the land of the bear. Same with Arthur, a name probably constructed to snag some of the bear's power. But in Germanic languages, the bear is called bear, or in German, I think it's bar. And the predominant theory is that this name just came from a simple description meaning the brown one. So
if we have a boy, it has to be called Arthur.
Yeah, but in Slavic language, so then we go on to Medved, right? And in Slavic languages, the description's got even better. The Russian word for bear is Medved, which means honey eater, and the names aren't done to be cute. It's done out of fear, because you don't want to talk about it in case you summon it. You don't want to Beetlejuice a bear. And it's worth noting, he says, that not everyone was scared of bears. Some languages allowed the true name to evolve with minor changes. So the Greek name was Arctos and the Latin was Ursos, which is still pretty much the true name. And today in French it's Ruse, and in Spanish it's Oso. And it's hypothesized that because these countries were further south, like France and Spain, bears just weren't that big of a threat. So they didn't bother being scared of its true name. And so so that's taboo deformation, deformation, in that you don't want to talk about it directly because you're so scared of it. And so you think of ways to
make it seem nicer or not as scary when you raise its name.
Yeah, and it is pointed out that it's just a hypothesis that Romance languages were in warmer climates, so they weren't that afraid of bear attacks. So that's just a hypothesis. It's not exactly sure. But fucking hell, like, what the hell? Like, that is insane journey to go on. And so Tolkien must have knew that to pick the Slavic word for bear and then change it to Old Norse or Old English because it fit more with his world. But what the fuck?
Makes him very... Well, I know I said he's strong. Makes him seem very fierce.
Yeah. But wow, what a crazy, like... A crazy journey.
A rabbit hole.
Yeah, so hands down, that has been the most surprising and fun excursion into language.
I think you want to be a philologist.
I think I might accidentally be becoming a philologist because I'm enjoying like all the language stuff so much. But yeah, like there was so I got into this whole thing about like taboo deformation, and then I got into something called minced oaths or oath mincing, which is where you'll say like Jeebus Cripes.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I'd
4 foot snake.
Yeah, 4 foot snake. Like I'd never heard stuff like that, and it's where like you want to say an expletive, but you want to be nicer about it.
Yeah, we used to say it at school.
Yeah.
So that I learned 4 foot snake from this teacher she was like a TA who'd been in the school since I was there as a little girl. Then when I worked there, and she worked in nursery, and sometimes if there was children around, she'd go 4 foot snake. Yeah,
well,
so there you go.
Children are very, very adaptive and impressionable. Because do you want to tell everyone what our daughter's been saying this week?
Right. So, our child, before she's even 2, blasphemes.
Yeah, she does.
So a couple of weeks ago,
Not good.
she was climbing a climbing frame, and she went, "Oh God!"
But it gets worse. You might think, "Oh, that's pretty cute." Yeah, but it's not. It's the way she's using it.
And then when my mum dropped her off this week, she said, "Who says for God's sake?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know what you mean."
I want to point out, my hand was towards Becca the entire time. As soon as her mum said that, I was snitching straight up.
And yeah, our child says it, and she says it quite frequently because I've spent the whole day with her today, and she's done it quite often.
Yeah, at any moment of frustration, so, "Oh, for God's sake!" So, fucking nearly 2-year-old.
I'm sorry, like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's better than saying the word cunt,
Well,
isn't it?
you have got friends who say that, and their
Exactly.
child repeats it, which is not nice.
So there we go.
It's not nice. Yeah, but I think that kind of naturally brings us towards the end. I have no idea what I'm going to title this episode because it was a bit about Beorn. But
Drunk talk.
That's the type of episode. So I have no idea.
Title it Boondoggle.
Boondoggle, yeah.
Beorn and his boondoggle.
Aye, no. But yeah, this is an open call to everyone. Actually, if you get this far into it, if you have any drunk talk suggestions, or tell you what, if you ever want to come on and do a drunk talk episode with us, I'd be happy to talk to some of our listeners about. It has to be loosely a Middle-earth topic, though, right? We'll get you on the Discord. We'll have a chat with you.
Or any drink suggestions.
Yeah, we're open.
Because anything will be better than what we drank, pardon me, while we were away. You picked some crappy mead.
Oh, when we were in York.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mead was...
Don't think it was even the bar. It was just
No.
you.
I also got you a black ale.
And it was...
It was only because it had a picture of a dragon on, though.
It tasted of coffee.
Yeah, it made me think of Anne Callaghan the Black because it was a black dragon. So I was like, oh, and then it was just a fucking disgusting drink.
Was okay, but it was like drinking treacle. Anyway.
Aye. No, that's it for us. Hope you've had a nice listen, learned some stuff. I certainly learned some stuff, and I was very surprised that it came from such a not obvious source. I was like, I'm just gonna, because I thought like a drunk talk episode about Beorn's easy. There's not much to him because there really isn't a great deal of lore around Beorn. It's just he's a descendant of the House of Hador, the third. They were the last ones to get to Middle Earth and Beleriand. So, there's more about his ancestors than there is about him.
Yeah.
So, and there's not even his descendants. There's not a great deal about them. So,
I'm just imagining some sort of sexy lumberjack in the middle of the forest, just living his best life. Got his beekeeping.
Have you seen that guy on TikTok who like just breaks logs on his videos?
No, but you're gonna have to.
I
don't have TikTok though, so.
Oh no, you're an adult. You watch them on Instagram 2 weeks later.
Fuck off.
I'm right though.
No, you're not.
But no, there is a bloke who all he does is he just breaks logs, right? And his comment section is just full of horny women.
Yeah, I watched that Thatcher. Is he called like Thatchin guy or the Thatcher guy?
Margaret Thatcher. She closed down all the mines in the northeast.
No, it's a guy who does traditional thatched roofs.
Yeah.
And that's all full of women who are just like, wish you'd thatch my roof.
Oh.
But it's a beautiful thing to watch someone thatch a roof. It's just like, it's just lovely.
I like watching people do craft, like their craft.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. If you're skilled at something and you enjoy doing it, I like watching it. It was like when we were away and I was watching the woman make the cocktails while we were talking and we were both watching it. I just enjoy watching someone work. It's the same reason I love videos where people are drawing things or make it like drawing maps or like the lass who did that painting for us. Like she's posted. I showed you a couple of videos where she's drawing, and it's just
I like
absolutely
watching
fantastic.
calligraphy.
Oh, calligraphy's good as well. Yeah, it's anyone who's passionate about anything and records himself doing it, apart from wanking. I'm always happy to watch. If your only hobby is wanking and you just want to film it because you think like, oh, Chris will want to watch this, I won't.
Right, so this is a random question. What is the weirdest picture you've been sent? But is in like when you were dating.
I was once on Plenty of Fish, right, and you've just unlocked this memory. I don't think about it very often, but as soon as you said it, I remembered. I was once on Plenty of Fish, and this woman said, "Oh, I don't have WhatsApp. Can you download Kick?" So I was like, all
Never
right.
heard of it.
Apparently, it's like I don't know. It's just a messaging platform, I think.
Okay.
So I downloaded it. I made an account and all that, and then it turns out it was a man, and he sent me a video of him pissing. And he was like, "Does that turn you on? Could I turn you bi?" And I was like, "Oh, and I truthfully, I wasn't like anything." The thing is,
Were you like, I'm not greedy?
No. The thing is, like, I joke a lot on that, but I have a very, very low threshold for just cut and run. Like, it means nothing to me to just ignore someone or block them, and I block people. If you're the slightest inconvenience to me, I'll fucking block you. I don't give a shit, because if you know, like, if it takes more away from my life than it gives, I don't give a fuck.
Not at times you've hung up on me.
Yeah, let's not do this now. Bye. Well, don't you say bye.
No, you don't. You don't even
anyway,
say let's not
right.
do this. You just hang up.
Don't put yourself on the same level as the guy who sent me a video of him pissing. But that was the weirdest.
I was the guy sending you the video.
The 8-inch clitoris. What about you? What's the weirdest one you've ever had?
I don't think I've had any sort of strange ones. It was just a lot of dick pics. I think it's just a normal thing. It shouldn't be, but it's a very normal thing for guys to not even say hi.
Yeah, I can't fathom.
How are you?
Like, I like a cold open, right, where I'll just jump into the conversation, but I've never considered a cold open with my cock.
Well, you know, we just have to roll with it, us women, because that's just normal, and you just block them. But you just think, why?
It's not good. Like, it's shit that you've got to deal with that. That's fucking horrible.
But they don't get anything from it, because a majority of us would just not respond and just bye. Like, but
it's so
a lot of
fucked up.
willies, lots of willies.
Oh,
Anyway, I feel like this episode is coming to an organic end. I feel like this episode is one of those that you'll know yourself is kind of a fall to sleep episode, where you start listening to it and you fall asleep, because it's just nice it's an easy listen.
I'm not saying I'm offended, because it's actually quite nice, but there's a fair few people who use our podcast for that.
Yeah, I'm not offended by that. I think it's lovely.
Fair dues. If you think we've got nice enough voices that you'll fall asleep to us, then fair dues. See you in your dreams.
We do commissions.
Like Freddy Krueger. I'll see you in your dreams. No, I'm not doing audio eroticas for people.
Oh, I totally would do that. Do you not think I have like an okayish voice to do that?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, you know, I'd rub one out, but I'd want the creative control. I just wouldn't want to do a commission for a furry. You know, like, he lifted the filly's tail. You know, I don't want to do stuff. Anyway, that's completely hypothetical. On that note, we're going to say good night. It's good night for us, but it's goodbye, good day, good morning, wherever you are, whenever you're listening.
Guten Tag.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, however long is left in your life. So that's goodbye from me, Chris.
And goodbye from Rebecca.